Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Hey,
I hit harder. Yeah.
there we go. Calm this to order. Let's go ahead. We are going to begin the regularly scheduled city council meeting for May 4th of 2022. Ryan, will you call roll?
Mayor Wusso,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Dame,
Here.
Councilor Schechter,
Here.
Councilor Weimer,
Here.
Councilor Zawinski, Councilor Godis.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Perfect. Does anyone have any agenda changes or conflicts this evening? I'll take that as a no. I'll move on to council announcements. Go ahead and use your microphones if you have any council announcements. Once again, that's a no. So we are going to move on to mayoral announcements of boards and commissions appointments. How did we want to do this? Do you want me?
It's really up to you, Mayor.
Okay.
I think, you know, we could either do it's really an appointment by you. I mean, for that matter, if we wanted to do it at the end under council comments and just have a discussion then and move on with the regular agenda. We just didn't know where to throw it in.
Let's do that then. So we are actually going to move item number 6 to item number 16, incorporate 6 into 16 and do the council boards and commissions appointments on item 16 later this evening. So I will move on to citizens appearing before council. So that's anything that's not on our agenda this evening. You are welcome to come up to state your name and if you live in city limits. Thank you.
Mayor.
We're all just.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyway, congratulations. I wasn't able to be here when you all got appointed. So it's so exciting, our new city council. And thank you for all your hard work. I am here representing, my name is Lori Chase. I'm the president of Glenwood Springs Arts Council, also known as the Glenwood Springs Center for the Arts. And I recently attended a seminar. So sorry if it sounds mechanical. Anyway, so the State of the Arts Symposium was at Taka, representing the entire Roaring Fork Valley. I was surprised to find out that we were not represented at this symposium. I kind of understand that with all the turnover, but it was very interesting. And the Aspen mayor talked about tax funds coming from closing of all real estate deals and how 1% of these sales go towards the arts in their city and to grants. The Carbondale mayor offered his opinion that the arts are better operated by other entities other than the city. Mountain Fair is a good example of that. The town of Basalt was represented by their city manager, and Basalt is the home of Taka and the Art Base, two very, very prominent art-based entities. The arts in these three communities are heavily encouraged by the city government. My big ask is that the city of Glenwood Springs becomes more involved with supporting our local 501c3s in its many forms for the community. That came out backwards. But anyway, to provide, our missions are to provide art in its many forms for the community. One thing I would really like to see is that we develop an arts district. I know it's a long drawn out process, but I think we really need something like that for both locals and tourists. Our community needs to find our identity besides the pool and the adventure park. We have a community rich in performing and visual arts. The organizations that promote arts need more help and more opportunities to promote their art in our community. One of the ways I think that city could do this is by giving the local art groups more support with funding, little or no charge for public events, and working with these organizations consistently. The arts help bring community together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lori. And Lori, have you had a chance to do that same presentation in front of the Arts and Culture Board?
No, not yet.
Okay.
The meeting isn't until the third Tuesday.
Okay,
of
because
the month.
they too have community comments that aren't on, the agenda at the same kind of format. So,
And I will also go to the downtown, what is it, DDA.
okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Those, but they're
Perfect.
later in the month. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have any comments that are not on the agenda? Okay, so we'll close that portion of the meeting and I will look for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Push the button.
That's on you.
That's on me. Hold on, it's not coming up. There it is. Okay. There we go. There we go.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, so moved. Okay, perfect.
We need a vote, we're on.
All those in favor? Yeah, you guys are gonna have to help me with this stuff.
Aye.
All those in favor? Yes. Okay, those opposed? Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Okay, perfect. We have now the introduction of our new police dog.
Good evening, council. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Joseph Darris. I'm the police chief here in Glenwood Springs. So congratulations to each of you. Look forward to working with all of you the next few years to come. I'm just going to share a few comments with you about our newest asset here in the police department. And to do that, I'd like to introduce you to Corporal Blake Gobo and his new partner, Reese. In late 2021, the council recognized by way of proclamation, the hard work and exposure to a variety of perilous encounters with armed and dangerous suspects. Moreover, the commitment of Corporal Gobo and his family to properly care for the canine and maintain all of his state and national certifications. In April 2021, Corporal Gobo's partner, Zeus, retired from service and soon after passed away. Recognizing the value these animals offer our team and our community, we applied for a federal grant. In August of 2022, we were awarded almost $30,000 to purchase a new canine. That was in addition to a local family's donation to help us fund and acquire the new canine team. Over the last few months, Corporal Gobo has been out of state bonding and training with his new partner, Reese. Over the next several weeks, they'll work to acquire required certifications to be deployable in our community. That's all the comments I have to share with you in the way of background about them. I'll let him speak to you briefly about his partner and some of the training that's involved in that, and then we can introduce you to his partner. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Darris.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. A couple things about the new canine is his name is Reese. He'll be 2 here in a couple weeks. He was purchased in Mexico, but he's Belgian Malinois is his breed. He was purchased in Mexico, but he has bloodlines going back to Europe. Basically what he does is he's a dual purpose canine. So what that means is he does multiple disciplines. He does patrol, which involves the apprehension side of things, and then also building searches, area searches to try to keep everybody safe. The other part of that is detection work, which he does narcotic detection for us. And then also tracking. So that's kind of what he does. We train lots of hours of training. Right now we're training 6, maybe 7 days a week. That's kind of the deal on that. We just got back from Texas, being down there and training, and then riding back all the way back up here, so we can get to work on that. So I think that's about it.
Thank you both
Oh, yeah,
so
and the
much.
schools too.
Oh.
I'm excited to get him out to keep everybody safe and give us another tool on the streets, and also excited to get out. We do a lot of school demonstrations and getting out with the youth and kind of making that connection. I know that's always a good time for the dog, me, and all the kids.
Thank you so much for all the time that you've already put into him. We appreciate you as well.
Thank you. And I
Yeah.
appreciate your guys' support in all this going forward. It means a lot. The canine for me is the most rewarding part of law enforcement. So I'm really happy to get out there and do a great job and keep everybody safe and go from there. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, now 2 in a row, we have a proclamation for National Police Week. Pete, do you want to come up here with me? Okay. So this is the City of Glenwood Springs proclamation to recognize National Police Week 2023 and to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as a National Police Officer Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated women and men of the Glenwood Springs Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 23,800 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 224 police officers were killed in the line of duty in 2022. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's annual candlelight vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2023, the National Mall. And whereas the candlelight vigil is part of the National Police Week, which takes place this year on May 14th through the 20th. And whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Ingrid Russo, Mayor of the City of Glenwood Springs, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby formally designate May 14th through May 20th, 2023 as Police Week in the City of Glenwood Springs, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in the City of Glenwood Springs and in communities across the nation. Thank you. I did already. Yep. Yeah, so that was the issue. Hold on.
It's right here. You just say it.
I'll just say it loudly. Okay, this is a proclamation for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and hypermobility spectrum disorders awareness month. Would you like to- This is our city manager, Beverly Marshall. You want us to why this is important to you? I'll try to do it without breaking it. Okay.
Ehlers-Danlos is a series of connective tissue disorders. They fall under the rare genetic conditions. There's 13 subgroups. All but one of them have been connected to some sort of genetic process or identification. One condition, which is hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos, they haven't found it, and I am someone with Ehlers-Danlos hypermobile.
So, and we're so fortunate that you're wanting to have us celebrate this right now. So Ehlers-Danlos syndromes and hypermobility spectrum disorders awareness month. Whereas Ehlers-Danlos syndromes, or EDS, are a group of 13 heritable connective tissue disorders that together affect 1 in 5,000 people. Each type of EDS has its own type of set of symptoms, but some features are seen across all types of EDS, including joint hypermobility, skin hyperextensibility, and tissue fragility. Whereas hypermobility spectrum disorders, HSD, are connective tissue disorders that can cause joint hypermobility, instability, injury, and pain. Other symptoms, such as fatigue, headaches, GI problems, and autonomic dysfunction, are often seen as part of HSD. Whereas there is no cure for any type of EDS or HSD, the conditions are managed by addressing a person's symptoms. EDS and HSD can cause a variety of symptoms and many different areas of the body. So people with these conditions are often require multiple providers and different specialties to manage their care. Whereas access to professionals who are knowledgeable about EDS and HSD is limited in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, lack of awareness about EDS and HSD in Glenwood Springs and across the world stands in the way of diagnosis, management, and research of these conditions. Whereas awareness about EDS and HSD by both medical professionals and the general public can help improve the lives of people living with EDS and HSD in general in Glenwood Springs. Therefore, be it resolved, I, Ingrid Russo, Mayor of Glenwood Springs and State of Colorado, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Ehlers-Danlos syndromes and hypermobility spectrum disorders awareness month in the city of Glenwood Springs. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, to be affixed this 4th day of May in the year of 2020. Thank you. Very much. Sign later on instead of.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we are moving on to item number 12, 27th Street Underpass Construction. We're gonna get an update, it sounds like. We're on this. There's a lot of work. Yeah. Oh, and I read it once before.
Yes. Good evening, council. Thank you for your time and putting up with me trying to figure out how to connect. I'm Ben Ludlow. I'm the project manager for the 27th Street project. I work for RAFTA. I have with me Tracy Truelove, who's our public information manager for the 27th Street Underpasses project. We're here to present to you what the project is, kind of a reminder, and give you an updated information on schedule and the impacts it will have to the city of Glenwood Springs. First of all, the location, everyone knows where 27th Street is. So we will be constructing an underpass underneath Highway 82 that will connect to the BRT station. We'll also have an underpass underneath 27th Street that will be in alignment with the Rio Grande Trail. We'll have some kind of a swing on the Rio Grande Trail as you come through there now. Now it's a straight shot kind of across the intersection, but we'll have kind of a bump out and crossing with that location. We'll also have some improvements. We'll have a sidewalk on the east side of the south side of 27th Street that connects to or runs along the Roaring Fork School District property. And we'll be doing sidewalk improvements on the north side where the used to be the CME property, which is now Rapids. I have an office hidden there, so I get to watch everything in. This is kind of an overview of Google Earth to kind of show you the alignment of how the Rio Grande Trail will be, how the underpasses will be located, and the sidewalks at that location. You'll notice on the 27th Street BRT station side that if you think about the big green space there that's there now, we used to have our RAPTA sign there. We're kind of confining everything all within that same space. So we're not impacting the 27th Street station. Currently, we have basically 3 phases set up in this project. The first phase will be construction of the east portal. So that will be on the 27th Street side. Sorry, the 27th Street station side, RAPTA station side first. We'll shift Highway 82 to the west. We'll be building, actually starting next week, we'll be importing fill to build temporary pavement so the roadway can be shifted over in that location. And that will go through, we have a milestone for Halloween because we like to pick candy holidays as our milestones for that to be completed this year, the first half. And then once that's completed, we will shift Highway 82 over the new tunnel section. And we'll start construction on the west half of the 82 underpass and the
south half of the 27th Street in the past at the same time. So it'll be a shift on 27th and a shift on 82. That will go until the work right now is proposed to actually go through the winter. We gave them the option to shut down during the winter. The contractor has decided they want to continue to work to be more efficient. That will be completed in May of 24. After that will be the final section of the 27th Street underpass, which is the north half. And the remaining sidewalk construction connections that will occur in that location. The traffic impacts for this project, I know everyone's concerned about that. I have the opinion it's not going to be major, but you know, we'll see what happens. Highway 82 will have 2 through lanes, both directions, and the dedicated turn lane on the 27th from each direction of Highway 82. During the final 2 phases, we will lose the double left-hand turn lane off 27th and 82. We're also going to have a speed reduction of 25 miles an hour through project job site.
And I know we don't have this on the slide, but we will be working with CDOT's lane closure strategy, which means we can't really start to do any kind of, lane closures until 9. We have to be done by 3. So it's a pretty short window and we end up getting a lot of work done in that time frame. But when we go into that traffic shift, you still have the same amount of lanes. We're just going to be going through a cone zone and we know how people love to go through cone.
This shows the first phase of the traffic shift. This shows the Highway 82 traffic being pushed to the west so we can build the east part of the tunnel. As you can see on there, we have the through lane dedicated left-hand turn lanes, and it's a shared right-hand turn and through lane on 27th in each direction. You also see on 27th Street that we still continue to have the double left-hand turn and the right-hand turn. And we'll be in this configuration again until Halloween of this year. This is phase 2, where we shift over the beginning of, or the previously constructed new portion. So we'll shift traffic to the east. Again, we have the 2 through lanes, left-hand turn dedicated, and the shared right-hand turn lane in these locations. You'll notice in this phase, we lose the double left-hand turn off of eastbound 27th Street. And this is the third and final phase where we build the last portion of the 27th Street underpass. Again, you'll notice that Highway 82 will be in its final configuration during this phase, which will be nice. We'll have dedicated right-hand turn lane, dedicated through lanes, and then a dedicated left-hand for both directions. 27th Street, again, will be limited to a single left-hand turn and a shared through right. Rio Grande Trail will be closed starting on Tuesday from 29th Street to 23rd Street. We have a detour in place for that. That will be closed through the entirety of the project until we open up the last underpass and all the sidewalks. We'll provide directional and wayfinding signs at each end of the Rio Grande Trail detour to make sure that everyone knows where they need to go safely. Here's our detour map to kind of show you how that works. And we'll have construction crews at 29th Street starting on Monday to build the detour and have it in place by Tuesday, weather permitting. Pedestrian impacts at the intersection are going to be pretty big. There will no longer be crossing of Highway 82 at 27th Street for the duration of the project. The other thing that's kind of a big deal is the east side of Highway 82 pedestrian detour. To get around the project, you'll have to go through the BRT station. It'll be marked. We have pedestrian barriers. We'll have plenty of signs and wayfinding for you to get through there. Again, all pedestrian crossing of Highway 82 will occur at 23rd Street at the signal. This kind of shows you how that pedestrian detour goes around the BRT station at that location. Timeline, again, starting next week, we'll start to see some impacts, lane closures potentially, and work on the Rear Grand Trail, and that will go through October 31st of 2024. There'll be multiple daily lane closures that's opposite of commute time. So up valley morning traffic will not be impacted between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. and down valley not impacted between 3 and 6. Speed reduction, again, 25 miles an hour through the job site. As mentioned before, there is a loss of the double left-hand turn lane in phases 2 and 3 on 27th Street. We'll start seeing a lot more people out on the job site, including myself out there in a hard hat and vest, so honk and wave. And a lot of the pedestrian routing changes around 27th Street station. We'll also see, because of this project, increased pedestrian and cyclist activity on Grand Avenue. And that's it. Here's how you can connect to our project. Tracy, take it away.
So we've been working pretty closely with Brianna and Starbuck as well. We have a dedicated website for this project that's a very updatable platform where we'll be able to get people the information they need. But we're also encouraging people to go to the website and sign up for any of our alerts so that we can actually do push notifications. We will be doing those in both English and Spanish. We have a project hotline for people that prefer to just give us a call and tell us how great the work is that we're doing. And we are connecting to all of RAFTA's social media channels. And again, I'm working really closely with Brianna and any other agencies here locally that want our information. We do have a couple of meetings that we're planning. I was great to see Chief Tillotson. We know we'll be sitting down with EMS. We have a meeting scheduled next week with the Roaring Fork School District bus folks right across the street. And I'm going to be out tomorrow kind of flowering some of the businesses. I would like to get with Bree to find out if she has a contact with some of those neighborhoods that I do not have, just because we will have cut off a lot of, what would you call those? They're kind of accesses that were just created to get up through the Rio Grande Trail. And it is going to be a little bit more of a walk around, and, you know, we're going to have a lot of activity out there. So we are going to do our best to let people know what the impacts are. But I will share that I think if people don't do something a little different sometimes in their commute, we're going to still see that congestion you normally see in the area. And I haven't been in there while Ben watches it out his window, but that even that 9 o'clock, you know, time frame, you're still going to see a lot of congestion in that area. So we're going to have to kind of work with that. Any questions for me about or I guess do we go to questions next?
Thank you.
Thank you for this presentation. I saw something similar. Ben, did you do that at RAFTA?
Maybe.
And I started like get into the traffic patterns. I'm really concerned about 27th Street, especially on, I think it's phase 3, where there's one left-hand turn and no dedicated right-hand turn. And I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, I think we only have so much right of way to work with through this project, but you know, I'm reminded of two projects that we've done over the years that was part of that impacted South Glenwood. I'm pointing to my neighbor here, Aaron. And one was a 27th Bridge replacement is done by an outside contractor, and they're signaling their signage, the traffic control, because it would back up into the roundabouts, and it was horrible. And then when we did South Midland, Gold Construction did it, and they were much more proactive with the signaling and keeping that the roundabouts from getting totally congested. So they'd stop traffic coming from the north, coming south, to allow traffic to flow through.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my concern, and I'll couch it as a question.
I think this is just a discussion.
Okay.
I think we have to take action. So.
Well, it's, can I strongly urge you in the most proactive way possible? I know Gould's doing it again, but to watch those roundabouts, because they will be congested, and I know we will see from your backyard to my front yard, traffic backed all the way up to Sopris. And so if we can, whatever we can do to help have signalized flaggers at especially those intersections would be super helpful.
We have, actually Gould's not doing the project. The project's Myers and Sons.
Oh, really?
Based out
Oh.
of Brighton. They're also currently working on a project between Silton, Rifle, and I-70.
I-70, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And we have local presence for subcontractors on the site. Alexander United's based out of Grand Junction, as most traffic control companies that we use throughout the valley. They are fully aware of our concerns, so is CDOT. I have a very good connection with the newest person who is in charge of signals throughout the valley, and he wants to work with us to make sure that we can reduce the 27th Street backup and wait. And so he has the ability to go out there and change things, and he will work with us. And so that was my biggest takeaway from my meeting I had with him a couple of weeks ago. Alexander United also has additional flagger hours available for us if we see that we are starting to create backups in roundabouts on both of them. We could use them.
I'd also share that we'll have the speed limit reduced, but we also know how people seem to kind of forget that's going on. And I know with the chief there, it's always nice to have some UTC out there when we can, especially when we start to do the traffic switch. This will happen at night. We'll also be working with your alert system and the Garfield County alert system to remind people that switch is happening. So there's going to be, again, a lot of push information out, but we worry about our crews. It just is, people are pretty distracted driving already, as we know. So when we have that EMS meeting, I think it'll be a great conversation about having some presence there when we have some big things happening.
And that's a good point. She brought up, Tracy brought up about our traffic switches. We will be doing those at night. There will be long holds while we do those overnight. I was involved in the Basalt Underpass project. I got to stand out there till 3 a.m. as we would close Highway 82 for 45-50 minutes to drop the big mast arms down to set up the new cables across for our temporary signals. So we'll be doing that. It will be nighttime work. We'll notify everybody well in advance when that occurs.
That's great. Any other questions from up here? Okay, then I'll just tell you, thank you so much. I know how much work, we all know how much work you guys have done just to get to this point. And we know that the 11th hour is actually just this the end and probably the most painful. So thank you in advance for all the hard work on this project. We appreciate it.
We really appreciate the support of council on this project and all the work that staff has worked with RAFTA and with CDOT to get to this point. And I mean, when you have the head of CDOT pushing this project for us, it's and I'm excited about it. It's like it's my 8th and 9th underpass in the valley, 7th intersection I've been involved with. So someday we'll do an overpass.
And if you want us, whenever you want us to come back, just let Bree know and she can connect with me and we'll get on your schedule.
Thank you. Thanks for all the great places to connect and just making sure the community stays informed. Appreciate it.
You should know that Roaring Fork Road and Weather, we have him on speed dial because he has by far the greatest reach of anybody.
Ray Alexander. Yeah.
A lot of
Yep.
information from me.
Ray's on our Transportation Commission board. Yeah, he's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Thanks, you too. Appreciate it. Okay. We're going to move on to item number 13, which is ordinance 2023-02 budget amendment number 1. And I think our COO, Steve Boyd's going to join us.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Boyd. I work upstairs. Part of the budget team here. Each year we pass an annual budget in the first meeting in November. And after that happens, there are a number of things that come up throughout the course of the year that cause council to direct staff to modify the budget. We try to do that about 4 times a year, every quarter, so that we're not in front of you every single meeting. So this is the first quarterly budget supplemental appropriation for 2023. I think you just need a motion in a second and you're good, but I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
I will. Oh, it looks like Counselor Godus has some questions.
Oh, it's just, wait, we have to, it's an ordinance, right? So we
Yeah.
have to have public comment.
Mm-hmm. So actually we'll do public comment. Is anyone either here present or online want to make any comments about this? Does not look like that. We'll close the section, the public comment section, and return it to council.
I move we pass ordinance 2023-02 budget amendment number 1 for the first reading.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Counselor Godus, a second by Counselor Day. You want to call the question? Let me put it up for vote.
It passes 6-0, unanimous.
Thanks,
Ryan.
everybody.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, we're gonna move on to item number 14, ordinance 2023-08, creation of a 2C housing commission. Who is presenting on that? Watkins?
Yeah, I was gonna say, he was getting some food.
Okay,
Cause your guys are like cranking along.
yeah. Yeah. He is.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you for your patience. So we have the ordinance for you tonight. It was drafted by legal. There's, I think it kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
We, at the last meeting, you all unanimously passed the recommendations from the workforce housing, the Glenwood Community Housing Coalition, a lot of acronyms here. And we think that's reflected in the ordinance.
Perfect.
Just to follow up slightly on that, we tried to incorporate some of the comments that council made regarding sort of how it's structured and making sure that it's clear about whose responsibility spending the money is, that's yours. And in terms of the advisory work that they're going to do, I'm happy to answer any questions or modify language if there's something the council is particularly interested in tweaking.
Right. Okay. Marco, go ahead.
Just a quick question about the two members from outside city limits, but within Garfield County. Why did we pick two? Because don't we have usually one representative on it? That's just how it
Yeah,
went.
no, it was just, I think it's kind of an arbitrary number, frankly.
It was a decision though by the.
Yeah, it was a recommendation of the ad hoc group that there be two.
And that was kind of an active discussion on their part, actually. They wanted to make sure that we're capturing all the kind of talent and knowledge that we could, people who might live
Okay.
just outside city limits.
And the tier that we had of the 81601 didn't come up, that one should be within and the other one should be outside, or is it just whatever?
Yeah, I think
It was a discussion. So
Okay.
they talked about that. They talked about Roaring Fork Valley. They thought Garfield County, that's kind of just where they settled on, but they did
Okay.
discuss different options.
Well, I'm glad they talked about it, actually. That's good to know. Thank you.
That's great. Counselor Schachter. Hold on one second. There you go.
Thank
You're
you.
good to go.
Just a question maybe for the attorney on item 4. To make recommendations within parameters of established housing programs. Or
that's a recommendation. I was hoping you could help me with that because you're
These
part of
are-
the ad hoc group.
A lot of these are new programs to Glenwood.
Right,
so I'm not sure what established will.
I mean, I think really we were looking at
Does it-
that. Honestly, my glibness aside, I think established, thinking of it as an active verb instead of referring to the past. They are programs that are established.
Okay.
So
That are going to be established.
going to be established. or
Based on
are
the
currently-
recommendations and. approval
Yeah,
by
exactly.
council.
That either are or will be established is really, it's kind of one of those funky
Past
grammatical
tense
things.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, are there any other questions from up here? No. We'll go ahead and see if there's any questions from the public then, since it is an ordinance. And anyone online? I don't think so. So with that in mind, I guess I'll look for a motion. Counselor Gotis.
I move we pass ordinance 2023-08, creation of the 2C Housing Commission as presented.
Okay, motion by Counselor Gotis, second by Counselor Zelinski. And then, there you go.
It's unanimous, 6-0. It passes.
Thank you all.
Okay, we are trucking through this agenda this evening.
Here.
I'm just rolling with it. I'm not, yeah. Item number 15, work session times. We had talked about, and we didn't change this earlier, but we had talked about wanting to make sure that we got Counselor Kaup's feedback on this too. So if everyone is comfortable postponing this for a future agenda, I would maybe we should just make a motion to continue it. Counselor Gotis.
Make a motion to continue. I'll make a motion to continue this to one of the next two meetings.
Okay,
Second.
okay, great. You want to call, just everybody who's in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Nope, motion passes unanimously.
Could I get Mayor Pro Tem Dem, you seconded? All right, your mic wasn't on. Just,
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay,
Sorry.
great.
Mark it as
Um,
the mic. Please.
Okay, it is not even 7 o'clock and we are to council comments. Oh, oh, we moved. Okay, thank you. So I was going to incorporate that into 16. Just, I think that's what I said. So we are moving on to 16 council comments, but I'm going to start those off by announcing the boards and commissions. So if you all want to get out pens and paper, if you don't already have it, we will start with Sumner. Sumner is going to be representing us, and I should add that boards and commissions and associations that we belong to are historically, it's a job for the mayor to appoint at the beginning of any new council term. With that, we also lost 3 members, and so and gained 3. And so looking through them and finding, good fits and also people who are interested in these, I appreciate council and all the feedback they gave me and what they wanted to partake in and be a part of. So thank you guys. It was hard, but you made it easier. So Sumner, you will be assigned to Club 20, the new 2C board, FAB, and the CC4CA, which is the Colorado Association of let's see. CC of climate action. Yeah. Yep. CC4CA. You are also the alternate on housing. So because of the way that the dynamic of housing worked, I appointed you and Shelley as kind of the housing people. So you're on both, but one of you is an alternate to one and a primary to the other. Marco, you are the AIMF, which is the Aspen International Mountain Foundation, the DDA, Historic Preservation, and you are alternates on FAB, the Arts and Culture Board, and Chamber. Arts and Chamber.
I'm just trying to figure out the abbreviation.
Okay. Okay. Aaron, you are the Airport Board, Vail Board, which is the Victims, Victims and Witnesses Assistance Commission, correct? Parks and Rec, and the Rural Fire Board. You are the alternate on CLEAR or GCE, Garfield Clean Energy, and Tourism Board. Shelley is not here, but Shelley will be representing us as our RAFTA board member or council liaison. She'll stay as the Transportation Commission. She'll also be on housing. She'll be on arts. Those are her primaries. And then as alternates, she will be on the River Commission and 2C. 2C. Mitchell, you are our primary on tourism, Northwestern Cogs, and the River Commission. And then you are the alternate on DDA and CMO. Yep, Colorado Municipal. Jonathan, you will represent us as CAST. RWAPA, which is Rudai Water and Power Association, the I-70 Coalition, CDOT. Yeah, CDOT, which is the IMTPF.
Oh,
Yeah,
ITPR.
or IMTPR, yeah. And then historically, we haven't always had an alternate for Parks and Rec, but I'm trying to make sure that people have the ability to leave and make sure there's representation. So applying you there. I will represent us on the URA, which is a pretty infrequent meeting, but still super important. I will be on GCE or CLEAR as a primary. I will be on the Firefighters Pension Board, on the Chamber. And then as an alternate, I will be on Transportation, RAFTA, and the airport. I want you all to know how important I think these boards are to attend. I was just saying to the transportation board, it's through sitting in these meetings and hearing from these volunteers in our community that we understand, well, they're impassioned people, or they wouldn't be on their board. They wouldn't show up to these meetings and give us the feedback that they do. So I think as council members, we are very fortunate to sit in and hear from these community members. If there are any concerns with the appointments, please touch base with me. And I thank you so much for your willingness. I know recently some people in different municipalities have said they don't want to do this, and I think there's huge value in it. So thank you all for your willingness to serve. Any questions? Okay, so I'm gonna do we need to make a motion to do that then?
It's technically a mayoral appointment underneath the code, so.
Okay, so then we'll just move on to council comments. Anybody else? Counselor Godus.
I just had a question. Is anybody planning on going to the CML conference in June?
I've looked at it. I don't know. It doesn't work for you.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It's tough this year because they scheduled it earlier in the week, which is.
Yeah, it's like a
different
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Wednesday instead of at the end of the week. And it's,
Yeah, I just didn't know if
Fine.
anybody was contemplating going.
I mean, I probably will because I can get my CLE credits, but as far as council members, I think it's a tough schedule. And I was gonna raise that with CML that I think it makes it harder on people who work than easier.
And I will be there.
You will be there. Okay, so you both will be there representing us. Okay, thank you. That's great. Any other council comments? Hey. It's like you all got together and said, let's make it a really short meeting. So Ingrid's stressed out. Okay, let's do report from city administration, city manager.
Well, I thought this would be a good time to provide an update on something that you might have heard about. We've had a little bit of a mud issue. So, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. So I'm going to have Matt come up, show him your boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, show him, yeah. So I asked Matt if, even though he's been working really hard, like round the clock, I asked if he would take some time to come in and give you an update because it seems to be shifting literally hourly in some of the locations.
So I feel like we did this last time actually, and it was just one flow. So it's actually 3 plus the 1, so we're on 4 flows at this point. The one flow by Red Mountain seems to be fairly under control, minus last night from 6 to 7 when I was digging out culverts because it was flooding West 9th Street again. But that one seems to be calming down a little bit. But the new flows over by the wastewater plant are pretty horrendous, actually. The whole hillside is coming down. It started Sunday afternoon. The police noticed. I got a few phone calls from a few people that I know, and they're like, you should come check this out. And there's really nothing we could do about it. It's just watching destruction come at you in a slow motion in that particular case, because it was just waving over about every 10 minutes and just moving closer. By the next day, that one had actually gotten to the road, the ditch, and started moving kind of east, northwesterly, I guess, and started inundating all of the storm sewer that's above Midland and then on Midland, which you'll notice there's a new ditch by the railroad bridge. We dug just in case we have an overflow. Those pipes seem to be holding up pretty well. So that one's actually stopped flowing consistently now. The snow up on the side of the hill looks to be mostly melted. So we don't expect a ton more out of that right now. Going around the corner, and if anybody wants to take a tour, let me know. That's a lot of mud, and it changes every couple of hours. It came out of the middle chute, which is actually like 4 or 5 fingers on one side and 3 or 4 you can't see on the other side. And the whole upper area above that comes and drains right that direction. I haven't figured out how many acres, but it's a lot. And there's still a lot of snow up there. So it's going to keep running for quite a while. But it came down. Some of those channels were nice meandering creeks. Now they're 25-foot gullies. I don't know how many thousands of trees we have, but we have lots. So we're trying to pick them out, bring them to the landfill so Liz can grind them up and compost them. And the rest of it's going to the rodeo grounds where we stored the snow because I need it to dry out. It's basically useless at this point. So we're going to bring it there, dry it out, and figure out what we're going to do with it from that point on. But all we're doing is basically maintaining. We're maintaining the road being open. We're maintaining safety. We're trying to help maintain the railroad tracks. If we just let it go where it wants to go, it would have inundated them days ago, but beyond what it did for that one morning. But it really comes down to, I think the biggest thing is this is going to be costly. We have to move the mud. If you look up there, this is just the beginning of what the next, I don't know, 500 years before it all comes down and hits bedrock is going to be. So we have WSP who purchased Goulder and Associates coming in on Friday. They already had a proposal for us to help us mitigate future planning for Red Mountain. We're just basically going to drive them over to the new areas. And we're actually going to have them look at a few other areas in town, like the new substation is in a good spot. There's a flow coming down. It always comes down this time of year. It's a little bit bigger, but we might look at fences above that. We may look at some barriers above that. We have 2 other substations that are below pretty steep slopes. So we're going to look kind of around town and have a conversation about what should we be doing. And just to plug it a little bit, Terry, before she left for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been talking about updating our 1977 hazards maps, which basically show the debris flow areas. NOAA's quite a bit less rainfall now, so those 100-year events are smaller, but snow melts is out there still. So we might want to start thinking about budgeting and actually getting a stormwater plan done and updating those hazards maps so that not only do we know where things are going, it would help the community itself when they're trying to build a house. Is that really in a debris flow area? I don't know. They have to do their own report. Very expensive to do one at a time, kind of thing. So you might see in the budget cycle this year some requests for funds to accomplish that. So we're going to keep at it. And I don't know if that's the weekend or the next 3 weeks. I don't know. We'll just keep moving mud. The bills will keep racking up. I do want to thank Gould Construction, JCI, CDOT has been a massive help in this thing. They lent us 12 trucks yesterday. They lent us an excavator for quite a while. So we've been gathering all our local partners, and we have so many trucking companies, I couldn't label them all if I wanted to. But it might be 1 truck from each company. That's all we really need. But we'll keep at it, and then we'll see where it goes, and we'll let you know what the cost is.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Questions?
Yeah.
Well, so Ryan and I have been having a conversation about declaring an emergency because that does pave the way potentially for funding. We're not the only community. I believe it's Hayden has also been having a very similar kind of thing. And so we've been talking about it, and the question is when. And, we were kind of waiting to see how this would go because it's kind of like, well, maybe it wasn't so bad. But as it's progressing, that might be something that we end up doing is declaring that. One of the things that we've heard is that multiple communities need to do that to really get the attention of the state and the governor and a declaration. So that's something that we've been talking about. I did mention it yesterday. I had lunch with the city managers in Garfield over across the street. And I know Silt, I believe, after the mudslide on Monday, closed off their water intake because of the turbidity. And so because of that, I don't think they're worried about flooding, but certainly water quality as we continue to slough this off into the river. And then Parachute was definitely looking at declaring, and I just saw that they just had a record high on the river, flooding parts of the town. So the likelihood is they will do that. This is all snow melt. So whether it's causing flooding or mudslides or whatever, it's all still related to the same thing. So we're all kind of talking about, should we get together and sort of all the communities for however it is affecting them, it might be different depending on their geography, but that really this record year or nearly record year of snowfall as it melts is going to be affecting all of us. And so we'll be having that conversation about when would be, and if it would be good for us to declare an emergency to open up the door, which we of course would hope not only to help pay for the cleanup, but also whatever we can do to mitigate, and potentially it's going to continue, but we don't want it to take out critical infrastructure in the meantime. Oh my gosh, he's back.
I'm good. I forgot to say one more thing, and I just want, it's just me being me. I just want to say, with any of my staff are listening, amazing people at this point. I
Mhm.
mean, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everybody's pulling together, running the equipment when they're not supposed to be running. You know, it's not their job kind of thing.
Yeah.
We have waste operators sleeping at the wastewater plant because there's been days we couldn't get to it for hours. So we have great staff, and I just want to thank them all if they're out there listening. Thanks.
Mhm.
And Brianna's not here, so I want to say something. One, again, all of our partners in this, I made a quick email to CDOT and I'm like, I know Hanging Lake's got an issue, but can you spare anything? And they said, yes, as soon as we can, we'll get it to you. As Matt mentioned, all of the different partners in the area immediately said, what can we do? But also to say that while Red Mountain is quite active right now, the rest of Glenwood trails and everything are open and it's beautiful and it's great weather, and just asking that people be cautious because there is snow melt and it's mountains. But it is still, Glenwood's open. There's lots to do. We just ask that people are safe and stay off of Red Mountain right now.
Thank you. Perfect. Counselor Weimer.
Yeah, hey, Matt, I was just gonna ask if we wanted to come down and see and get a better sort of understanding of what's going on, but at the same time, stay out of your way. You have suggestions or thoughts on that?
Email me or call me.
Okay,
I'll bring you out there if you want to go. We'll just
Okay.
go hop in the car and go take a tour real quick if you want to see.
Truck, hop in the truck.
We won't take a low clearance vehicle, it's a truck of some sort,
okay,
but shoot me an email and we can kind of coordinate a time and we'll go look at it.
cool.
It's not going anywhere, so that's not rush.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Matt, and thank you to all the staff. We are so fortunate. Carl Hanlon, City Attorney, got anything?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have 48 minutes. No,
That's
I
gonna
don't
be-
have a lot other than, I would like to say good news, bad news on SB 213, but it's really just bad news. I know, I took all the fun out of the evening. We worked really hard to get it coming out of the Senate in a place where it hopefully provided some good planning and study components that would actually help the housing crisis, at least in our mountain communities. It went over to the House. They have added back in just about everything that we worked for several weeks of good faith negotiations. And thank you, Jonathan was a big part of that on the CAST board, as well as Beverly working on that. It went to the House as a whole. There was an effort to try to get McCluskey not to bring it to the floor. I don't think that worked out today. I haven't seen the actual outcome, but so it will be voted on. It looks like it's going to clear the House as amended by the House, which put back in a lot of the land use mandates. I haven't seen the fully engrossed bill yet or analyzed it in any detail. It will go to a conference committee with the Senate, which may be one last chance to affect change. At this point, I'm seeing most of the RRJC communities just coming out with a full kill the bill at all possible costs. It is horribly disappointing to me, given the work that was put in by CAST, in particular, working so hard on behalf of those 15 communities that, the sort of the last minute further kind of gamesmanship continues to happen down at the State House. Like I said, I can't express my frustration enough. We also are seeing another bill that's going to have a dramatic impact on our fire district that we partner with in SB 303, I think, that is proposing to put a tax limiting measure on the ballot this fall that will severely undercut our ability to fund emergency services that are funded out of mill levies, which is what the fire district is entirely dependent on. Again, another one of those last minute, not well thought out, push something through at the last minute. Like I said, from my standpoint, working with the legislature over the last 25 years, I've never seen a legislature that has handled these things as badly as this legislature has. And that's saying a lot, frankly. Not a lot other than, I think, start making phone calls to Senator Roberts. He's been a great advocate for our mountain communities. And feel free to call the other senators and lean on them. I'd also suggest that you reach out to our representatives. I would be interested to see how the votes went, but certainly if our rep voted for this bill, I think we need to have a conversation with her regarding that on how it went in the House, as well as Speaker McCluskey. to make sure they understand that this, we worked in good faith. That's not how it went down. So happy to answer any questions.
Well, I'll just make a request, and that is, will you send us updates as you have them? And will you, if you can find, even if you don't have the time, but you see like this is a great resource, please send it so we can stay
Yeah,
abreast.
absolutely. And I was searching, hopefully you did you find it?
I have, Margaret put together a pretty good, summary. I can just forward this on you for you.
Yeah, I'll forward everybody. I haven't seen the latest.
Do it myself, everybody. I would not do that.
Was that the one from earlier today, Jonathan, or just, yeah,
Okay.
Is one.
yeah. I think Beverly probably has that too, can push out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
Beverly has it, but she can push it out.
yeah.
I was waiting to see if there was anything else, because I know there were a couple of other people who were gonna weigh in if they saw anything else, but I think they pretty much determined that what she sent out was a good summation of it. And as I understand it, now it has to be voted on by the whole and then likely to approve. And then it goes back to the Senate.
Yeah, so the expectation is now that it's on the floor, it will pass on the floor of the House as a whole, and then go back in conference to the Senate for reconciliation. That all has to occur before Saturday.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Action packed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, sorry, I'm just a little grumpy about it.
So.
Well,
That's the Otis.
yeah, I mean, it goes back to the Senate. This conference committee can either accept or reject it.
Right.
And so a lot of the negotiation, I'd say like 90% of the negotiation was with the Senate bill. It is Senate Bill 213. So the work that Cass and the RJCs have done over the last 3 months was been with the Senate sponsors and our Senate representatives. Actually, Senator Roberts, who's not our Senate representative, Perry Will is, but that's, all of that work went on the Senate side, then it went to the House side, and that's where things got really screwy.
Yeah.
But that's also where there's a much larger split. There's much more Democrats, much more people excited about this bill than the Senate. So I mean, I don't know. I can't tell the future, but there's a very strong possibility that the Senate Conference Committee just, they can't reach consensus. And if they don't, it's just dead, dead, the whole thing. And there's some good things in what was negotiated with the Senate bill. I mean, some of it wasn't good, but there was like, as far as I think we were concerned, we had got all we had everything carved out really that we needed to. We wordsmithed every little last apostrophe. And so for it to kind of be thrown out is, I think, to Carl's point, really disappointing. And I guess I would be most disappointed if the Senate Conference Committee, which I think Senator Roberts is a part of, if they accept those changes. And if they don't and can't find, and I'm saying all this for a process conversation.
Yeah.
So the whole thing will be done. It'll be dead done. There's to be no study. There's going to be no ADUs used by right. There's not going to be any like some of the stuff that did survive for the state that probably is pretty good.
It'll be gone too.
It'll be gone too, which I think is disappointing, because I think the whole state kind of loses out a little bit.
And I would echo that, Jonathan, that some of the areas where actually there was some good thinking that ended up in the bill, sort of how comp plans are put together, what those master plan studies look like, considerations of, water and sewer, critical utilities, those kinds of things, which were really, I think, could have been the core of this bill as a starting point that we're going to lose, which is too bad, along with those other pieces that we had worked so hard on. So we'll see what happens. I think there's, obviously, if you read the news, there's a lot of pressure coming out of the governor's office and out of leadership, Democratic leadership, to try to make something happen. So we'll just have to see where it goes.
Okay.
So as part of that process question, Jonathan, so like if it does die in that committee, they can't agree to do one, and it does die, does it start up again in the next legislative session? Does it pick up where it leaves off to any degree?
Not, I mean, they could reintroduce the same bill and you see that occasionally.
Okay.
It may also be an opportunity where people realize that maybe they need to spend more time out here talking to folks
Yeah.
and down on the front range too. I mean, the complaint about engagement has not just been our complaint with regard to the drafting of the bills. So,
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge, I mean, this was Governor Pulse's signature.
Mhm.
I mean, he spent probably a third of his State of the State speech after his election on this topic. So I would be surprised if they don't take the good and less or almost no controversial things and are able to do something. But if they're just, if the Senate and the House is as such as loggerheads, it just goes away. But I would suspect, and I hope that they do a listening tour this summer. I hope that they reintroduce it at the next session. I mean, that starts getting presidential politic years and that's always dicey, but reintroducing something, I think they've just spent so much time and energy, just let it go as a defeat for the next 3.5 years would be, I don't know.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the governor decides to do with all of that. But like I said, I mean, there are some, particularly for the mountain communities, we got to a point where we were starting to have a conversation about things that are actually helpful. And really, getting someplace. And my hope would be is that we could come back and either carve that out and move that forward or have some larger framework where we're all working together. I'm hopeful for that. I mean, this process has left, I think, a lot of bitterness on all sides, which is too bad. And I think that's really, and I hope that it doesn't, to Jonathan's point again, I hope that it doesn't kill the housing discussion and the need to move that issue forward and how critical it is. Hopefully we can do it the right way the next time.
Okay. Anyone else up here any questions, clarity, or you're feeling like we're good to move on? Okay.
I guess the one last thing I would say is that, for the 3 new council members, and I meant to do this week and I just didn't get to it. My paralegal Angelique will be reaching out to you to try to schedule some time to get you up to date on some stuff that isn't, that I'm working on that we can't discuss out here on the dais.
Okay. With that in mind and all that's wrapped up, I guess I'll look for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
Hold on 1 second. You don't have a mic on. I don't think that works for Ryan. Okay. Counselor Dunn.
I so move.
Okay.
I so second.
Yay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed to ending at 7:22? No one. Okay. Motion passes unanimously.
It's lovely.
For now.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it.